Hey, this is Dana from the Dana and Travis Show. We'd like to thank all of our loyal fans. And if you have any suggestions or ideas for future show topics, you can email us at danaandtravisshow@gmail.com, or you can contact us on Facebook or Twitter. Hope you enjoy the show.
You're listening to a Collapsar Digital Studios production.
Live from Bloomfield, Indiana, you're listening to The Dana and Travis Show.
Greetings and well wishes. I'm Dana,
And I'm Travis.
broadcasting to you live from Collapsar Digital Studios in Bloomfield, Indiana, bringing forth the knowledge of the universe in 60 minutes.
We hope you enjoy the show.
All right, hey everybody, this is Dana,
This is Travis.
and this is the Dana and Travis Show, coming to you live from Collapsar Digital Studios in Bloomfield, Indiana. So, what's happening?
Oh, nothing much. Just got back from a busy week, as usual, as is every week.
I know, it's the same thing over and over. Of course, this was Father's Day weekend.
Yes, it was. And me and you, we did some stuff. But before we get to that, you can find us on Facebook, and you can also email us at danaandtravisshow@gmail.com, and you can message us on Facebook, and you can tweet us on Twitter. So,
Yes,
we went to, let's see, was it Saturday night?
Saturday night, yeah, day
Saturday
before
night.
Father's Day.
And we took a little venture up to Bloomington with me, my sister, and Dad. And we decided to make a little trip to the bargain bookstore.
That is like my favorite place to shop.
Yes, he literally goes in almost every...
Every day is like Christmas. It's
Yeah,
just
every day is
awesome.
like Christmas, and he goes in there, and he literally spends 2.5 hours, and he has a basket full of books
No,
when he's done.
no, I have a basket full of treasures that I
Or-
skillfully pick out from all the titles.
A basket full of knowledge from the tree, the luscious tree of life.
Yes, and if anybody's not been there, it's not just books. They also have DVDs. They have
Music.
CDs, music. They've got vinyl, magazines. They got everything.
Comic books, even.
Comic books, yeah, and it's all dirt cheap. That's the
Yes.
thing about it.
Yes, I know. I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably already know what the bargain bookstore is and where it's at. But if you don't know where it's out by Pet Boys and MC Sports and Lowe's.
Yeah, Cracker Barrel. In that area.
Cracker Barrel. It's right in that area. But like Dad said, everything is really cheap, and you can find some good stuff in there. What are some treasures that you've personally found in there that you wouldn't have expected to find at the bargain bookstore?
Probably, of course, I'm a big, mountain climbing, Mount Everest fan,
Yeah.
and I've picked up so many Everest-related books there. It's uncanny.
I know that you've, some people you were aware of, when you went, you found a couple of their books, and wasn't there one in particular you actually found an autographed one? Was it someone
Yes,
that you met?
Yep, when I went to Everest Base Camp in 2003, in Kathmandu, I was at a little bookshop, and I bought the autobiography Left for Dead by a gentleman named Beck Weathers, who was part of the big 1996 disaster, which claimed the lives of several climbers on the mountain. Beck Weathers was actually left for dead, and he did survive, though, and ended up writing a book. But the book that I got in Nepal was a softcover book, and I just so happened that I was scrounging around the bargain bookstore, and I found the hardcover version of it.
And it was autographed.
It was a signed book. And I didn't realize that when I bought it. I got home with it, and I was flipping through it. And on the inside of the front cover, it says, "Climb High, Beck Weathers."
And isn't that not just cool? I mean, that's right up your alley.
Yes, and it's one of my...
Right up your mountain alley.
My mountain, yeah, it's one of my best finds I've had there. The other day, they had a new section of signed books that are actually, billed as signed copies, and I got a couple of signed books there. One was the Karl Rove political book, and
they had a John Edwards one.
Yes, John Edwards. I come really close to buying it, but I just couldn't justify giving that dirtbag any of my money, so I didn't. But it still would have been cool to have.
Yeah. It's cool to have something
was
signed from him.
A Dickie V book, Dick Vitale.
Yeah, Dick Vitale.
The sports announcer. He had a book that was signed. Just different things like that. I think there was also a Vice President Dan Quayle signed book. So, and you can pick these up for, just
a couple bucks.
Yeah, next to nothing.
I mean, you go in there, go in there with the intent of trying to find a treasure. That's what you'll find. If you know what you're looking for, you don't even have to know what you're looking for. No. Just go in there, just with an open soul, with open eyes.
Just set yourself on autopilot and just
start exploring.
I do have to give you an update, Travis. I was really torn when I left there that night. There was one purchase that I didn't make, and I got home and I kicked myself for not doing it. And then on Sunday,
I know what you're talking about.
On Sunday, we went up and had a little Father's Day lunch with my parents and sister and the whole family, and Travis was there. And I told Kylie that I wanted to run by the bargain bookstore and check on a book for my mom. And while I was there, I went over there and I picked it up a second time.
A second time?
And then I put it back down. I don't know why.
Why did you put it back down?
Let's tell everybody what I found. I found a DVD movie that was called Gingerbread Man. And it was like a horror flick. But it starred Gary Busey. Gary Busey was the Gingerbread Man.
The Gingerbread Man.
And
Gary Busey, stamp of approval.
Yes. So one of these days, I'll probably end up buying it on Amazon or something, because I'm going to have it.
Or just go back to the bargain bookstore and just buy. I mean, it was just a couple bucks. I don't know how you passed it up. Just a couple bucks.
I don't know. For some reason, I was very indecisive, and I just couldn't.
I mean, I understand, being indecisive about it, but it's just a couple bucks. I mean, I didn't even know that existed.
Well, I did. It seems to me like I had heard of it. It was like a B movie, real low budget.
Well, it looks low budget, that's for sure.
But I'm sure that's, probably part of the charm.
It looked Trilogy of Terror-esque.
Hey, Trilogy of Terror was a classic.
Yes, it is a classic. But it had an esque feeling to it.
It kind of reminded me of, like, maybe a worser version of, like, Child's Play.
Worser?
Worser, that's a word, thank you.
Is it?
And it is now. Or maybe, wasn't there, like, a possessed snowman? Was it Jack Frost or?
There was Santa's Sleigh with Goldberg.
No.
Do you remember that movie?
I don't remember that movie.
Goldberg played as a crazy serial killer Santa Claus.
Wow. No, I missed that one.
And he had a classic line in that movie.
Which was?
He walked into a room with a chainsaw. Ho, ho, ho's. Just imagine this Goldberg walking in and just saying that. It was on TV one night. I can't remember how many years ago, and I was like, I never heard of this movie. What is this?
The only better tagline I can think of might be, "Who ordered the whoop-ass fajitas?"
No. I was just playing back their negative reaction to that in that movie.
Oh, okay.
It was a Boondock Saints 2 reference for all you who are wondering out there.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you still gotta love that. Anyway,
yeah.
So bargain bookstore.
Bargain bookstore. Then after the bargain bookstore, we went out to Olive Garden.
Yes.
And you had a delicious steak.
Oh, it was the steak Toscano. Quite possibly one of my favorite places to get steak now, outside of Yanko's, Little Zager's. You cannot beat Yanko's. But
they do have good steak.
Yeah, between the lesser steakhouses, which would be like Texas Roadhouse, Outback, Olive Garden has a awesome steak.
Yeah, I mean, which you really wouldn't think of it. So they're not exactly a steakhouse, but they brought that steak out, and I was like, ooh.
No,
I was like, that looks awesome.
Yeah, it is a good steak. But yeah, we did that. That was our pre-Father's Day celebration.
Yeah.
And then again, like I said, we did Cracker Barrel then Sunday with the whole family and ate out again. So
yeah, and it said we had a really good time. It was good time spending time with family. Cracker Barrel was a little loud, but other than that, it was.
Yeah, that's my only real argument with Cracker Barrel.
It's so crowded in there when you usually go. It's crowded and it's loud.
It's just loud, and if you've got a group of people and you're sitting at a long table, there's just not much visiting that can be done. But
yeah, but so we all Dad and I, we all want to wish everyone a happy Father's Day. Which it's already passed now, but we hope you had a great Father's Day. And I hope you celebrate it well with all the dads out there, and make sure you let them know that you are appreciative of them, because they surprisingly do work hard as well. They do have some pretty big roles in the lives.
Yeah, and Father's Day, that's one of my. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I always enjoy Father's Day. The time of year, and it's usually a good time.
Yep. So, like I said, we all wish everyone had a happy Father's Day. And we're going to go from that to our main topic of the night. And we have a little music for that.
All right.
And now, the Danaandtravisshow presents the main topic of the night.
Okay, main topic of the night. Travis, you want to start this? What do you think?
Well, we were thinking about what could possibly be the topic of tonight's episode, and Dad came up with an idea. We really haven't talked about this much. It's something that we really it surprisingly has quite a bit of influence on both him and myself.
Yeah, and I really, it just kind of came to me, and
it's worth talking about.
Yeah, and actually, I've been a fan for a long time of the Bob and Tom show.
Bob and Tom
Bob
in the morning.
Tom, yeah, which and it's our format is not really copied on that, but kind of loosely similar to like a Bob and Tom type format.
It'd be more like that if we actually had people calling in, be doing characters and stuff. But that's just your standard radio format. People love doing characters, and it brings a flavor to a show.
But like I said, I've been a long time fan. The Bob and Tom show debuted in March of 1983.
It's a long time ago.
I was a junior in high school.
And I couldn't imagine something like that coming out now. I guess you could possibly say like the Adam Carolla show. I don't know if he's going to be around that much longer, but he's probably going to be in his late 70s, 80s by the time from Bob and Tom show then to now. So, but I couldn't imagine something starting
30 years.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine something starting that long, and then still going. It's still strong as ever. And it was, it really hits home with us because they're out of Indiana, and you could possibly say Bob and Tom is one of the big things Indiana has going for the state. And
of course, it's a little different now than what it was back in the early days. Of course, they operated out of the radio station WFBQ Q95, classic rock out of Indianapolis, and the Bob and Tom show started there. And in the early days, before it was nationally syndicated, it was more kind of home style. A lot of, they talked about things locally in Bloomington and Indianapolis.
Kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, a lot of Bob Knight stuff. That was back in the Bob Knight glory years.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Knight was, a virtual jackpot of material for him.
Yeah, comedy gold.
Yeah.
But, going from that to what they are now, Bob and Tom has successfully made Indiana, possibly, other than California, a comedy hub of the United States.
Yeah, they're actually, there's people, that, clamor to get on the Bob and Tom show like they did the Tonight Show back in the early days. Comedian, This is, if you can make it on Bob and Tom, you can become successful and, big. In comedy.
I'm just going to name drop here. A lot of people don't like name dropping, but I'm going to name drop someone. A guy I know from Bloomington. His name's Dave Britton, but he's been doing comedy at the Comedy Attic for the last couple years, and a couple months ago he was asked to be on the Bob and Tom show, and he got to be on air with them. And I thought that was really cool because I know this guy, and he was always a good, funny guy then, and it's really cool to see him be on the Bob and Tom show.
Oh yeah, and I'm trying to do some research on, and just I'm trying to think of some names of people. Ron White, Larry the Cable Guy,
Jim Gaffigan. Then you have but what makes Bob and Tom extra special, and I think all of you know. But they have those signature comedians and those signature characters that really makes the show what makes the show. It's not so much the radio program that makes the show special. It's the community and the culture the show has created. For instance, I was going to tell you how great of a dad is, and the things that he exposed my innocent ears to as a child.
Made you what you are today.
Made me what I am now. I remember one time he had this music and he was playing it to me, and he's like, listen to this song. And I think the first time I heard it wasn't we were going to like a Kings Island or something, and you told me about the show. You told me about this song. And we started listening to it, and it was Attack of the Wiener Man by Here Come the Mummies. And he was playing this song for me, and I can't remember how old I was. I wasn't very old.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while.
But he played me that song, and I didn't realize that Here Come the Mummies, they pretty much got their start, they went on Bob and Tom. They have some funny song topics.
Yeah, well, that helped them kind of solidify, themselves.
What they were.
Yeah, locally, or at least in this, part of the country.
Well, yeah, and their gimmick, dressing up as mummies, and it's just, if you ever get a chance to see Here Come the Mummies, go see them. They have a fun show, and you can see why Bob and Tom like them, but. Like I said, Dad exposed me to them when I was a young kid, and he always listened to the Bob and Tom shirts show, and he would wear Bob and Tom shirts, and I would be like, Bob and Tom, what's that?
Remember the trip to Florida, and we listened to the Bob and Tom.
The comedy albums over and over.
Yeah, we had like the Haywood Banks, Wiper Blades.
Yeah, whoa, wiper, blade, and of course the Toast.
Yeah, Toast.
Yeah, but then you had one of Dad's big one, Duke Tomato.
Oh yeah,
Duke Tomato.
Geez. And I'm sitting there, and you're rattling off all these people. Yeah, Bob and Tom played a huge role in the success of all these people.
Even music. Music, comedians. Who else? Well, okay. We're going to get into this too. A couple of years ago, Bob and Tom had, they first announced a Comedy Central special, the Bob and Tom Comedy Tour. And they hadn't done this before.
No, that was one of their early shows.
Yeah, they had never done this before.
Now they're doing them, just
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back then they just started, and I remember it pretty well. But they had the first one that came out they had it on Comedy Central, and they recorded it, and it was really cool. They did it at the Anderson Theater.
The Paramount Theater.
The Paramount Theater
in Anderson.
And they had another show there, and Dad got us tickets, and we went to go see that. Which this comedy tour consisted of big names such as Donnie Baker and the Pork Pistols.
And that was kind of some early Donnie Baker. He was pretty new at that time.
Yeah. Donnie Baker and the Pork Pistols. You had Paul and Storm.
Tim Wilson.
Tim Wilson. Mike Armstrong. Haywood Banks. No, not Haywood Banks. Drew Hastings.
Was Greg Hahn there?
Greg Hahn was there.
Paul and Storm.
Greg Hahn. Chick was there.
Chick was the host that night.
Yeah, Chick was the host.
Chick and Christy were there, which usually they'll kind of take turns traveling, and they might do a show in Iowa or Milwaukee or Chicago or
I know recently
Seattle.
Recently, it's been Christy will go on tour with Eric Stephanopoulos. No, not Stephanopoulos. No, Kostaki.
Kostaki
Kostaki Economopoulos. She gone tour him, Donnie Baker, and Drew Hastings. I know that's been one recently that she went on a tour with. And Chick, he goes with. I know he does some shows with Kostaki and
Drew Hastings
and people like that. But I remember that was the first time I heard Drew Hastings. Well, besides Dad playing clips of him, which he has one of my favorite comedy bits of all time, which he's talking about his cat, his farm cat,
Kitty,
going out in the middle of the woods. There's deer hunter out there, and he's in a suit, and he has his cat. He's like, "Come on, Kitty."
Walks up on a couple of redneck boys, and they start making fun of him. What's that? Your hunting cat?
Hunting cat.
Come on, Kitty.
Yeah.
But Paramount Theater though in Anderson, Indiana, and this is a great story.
It was great.
And actually, we met the late Tim Wilson there, and again we know Chick McGee.
We got to talk to.
Most of the comedians before the show.
Yeah, Paul and Storm.
They were all at their merch tables, selling their CDs and stuff, and it was cool to actually, have time to talk to them. And
but I think we were definitely going to bring up the fact that, as some of you might know, Tim Wilson did pass away this year.
Yeah, back in February, we lost Tim Wilson. A huge loss for the comedy world. Very talented individual.
Yeah, he was a songwriter.
I think he was returning home. He had just done a show in Michigan, and he was going back to. He was Georgia, is where he was originally from, but he was driving back to Georgia from Michigan, and he was going to visit his brother, and he had talked to his brother on the phone, and told him that he wasn't feeling very well, and supposedly the brother told him go to the hospital, but he did make it home, and then I think later that evening they had rushed him to the hospital, and he had a massive heart attack and died, which
is very sad.
Yeah,
and I can say it was a privilege that we got to we actually talked to him.
Yeah, I felt very, very lucky to actually to have actually met him and talked to him.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And I said, Tim Wilson will be missed by a lot of people.
Yep, definitely missed.
And I know that Bob and Tom in the show, everyone was pretty devastated by it.
Columbus, Georgia. And if y'all remember. One of the early Jeff Foxworthy bits, the 12 Redneck Days of Christmas.
Yeah,
was co-written by Tim Wilson.
So yeah, Tim Wilson had a pretty big influence. That's a big deal for him.
But back to the Paramount. And this is a great story.
Yeah.
course, it's like 4 hours from where we're at to Anderson. So it was going to be a late night. So we decided, well, let's get us a room and spend the night. So we got us a room there at the Holiday Inn and outside there, the outskirts of Anderson. And the next morning, I pulled, the van up underneath the little awning, so I could go in and check out. So I go inside the motel lobby and
I come down and we're getting ready to check out.
Yeah, and I left Travis in the van, and it was winter time. It was cold. I said, here, I'm going to run in and check out. And I'll be right back. So I go inside, and I noticed Donnie Baker and the Pork Pistols sitting off in this little side lounge, and I'm like, man, this Donnie Baker. And then over on the phone, I see Sean Morey, the man.
Yeah, Sean Morey.
Sean Morey was there. I'm like, there's all these comedians from the night before were staying at the motel that we had gotten. So I'm like, just kind of, figuring out how I can angle myself into, to talking to these guys. And as I'm walking up to the front desk of the motel, Mike Armstrong is right in front of me, and which his gig is he was an ex-policeman. And
yeah, very, very funny.
Yeah, and I got to talking to him, and he was just, was very nice, and, we sit there and kind of chit-chatted. And
okay, meanwhile, I'm out in the van. I'm just like, what the heck is he doing? I was like, it's been like 25, 30 minutes. I'm like, it doesn't take that long.
I was working, okay?
And I was like, it doesn't take this long to go check out of the hotel.
So me and Mike Armstrong, we go over and we're talking to Donnie Baker and the guys, and it's just surreal. I'm around all these, people that I really, look up to, and I asked Mike. I said, Mike, you do me a favor. I said, yeah. He goes, yeah. I said, what's that? I said, my son is out in that maroon van out there outside underneath the awning. I said, can you out and say hi to him or something? He goes, oh, we'll do better than that. And he goes, would he like a CD? I said, oh, he'd love a CD. So he goes, okay, well, let's go out. And somehow we kind of snuck outside, and he had this, it was like a Jeep Wrangler that was kind of behind us. And he goes, I'll go get a CD and I'll sign it. And he goes, or I asked him, I said, go in there. I said,
just say it. Just say it.
I said, Mike, just go out there and just start some shit with him. He goes, well, he recognized me. I said, oh yeah, he'll recognize you. I said, no problem. I said, just go out there and just start,
Okay, now go to my perspective. So I'm sitting in the van, and I saw Dad I saw him kind of walk out. I wasn't thinking anything of it. And all of a sudden, I see this guy run up to the van. He grabs it, flings the door open. He's like, I heard some illegal narcotics in this vehicle.
Jumps into the
van, grabs a hold of me. And I'm just like, it's Mike Armstrong. but he scared me to death. And I'm just like, this is surreal. This is Mike Armstrong. That was awesome. He just punked me.
Seeing Mike Armstrong bail into my van and Travis in there. What the heck?
It was awesome.
But he was so cool about it. And he's like, of course, his first concern was, is he going to recognize me? I said, oh, yeah, he'll recognize you.
Yeah. I recognize, because he has this look that he has on his face, because he kind of snarled at me. And his eyes kind of went cross-eyed just a little bit and kind of snarled at me. And I was like, it's Mike Armstrong. He jumped into the van.
So we had a chance to sit and talk with him for just a few minutes, because everybody was getting ready to go, and again, he was very, very cordial and very, very nice, and it that made that entire trip. It was just completely awesome. The show was great, but meeting all the guys the next morning was just, and then having Travis pretty much manhandled in the back of the van by Mike Armstrong.
That was definitely a high point in my life at that point. That was so cool. And of course, and then we talked to him for a few minutes, and he gave me a CD, and it was so cool. I still have the CD, and I still listen to it.
Awesome.
And it was just so cool.
And and that's the thing too, because when you're listening to these comedians on the Bob and Tom show, to me they're celebrities. They're, again, people that I kind of envy. I look up to them.
Well, they're actors, and some of them are, they're in movies, and
so I'm in Louisville, Kentucky one night, and this is another example.
This is another story.
So yeah, another story.
Different story.
We're like the Funny Bone Comedy Club or whatever. I'd taken some friends of mine down. We went to a trade show down there, and we went out that night and decided we'd go to the comedy show because Tim Cavanaugh was going to be there that night.
Now, who's Tim Cavanaugh for people who don't know?
Tim Cavanaugh, he does like little 1-minute songs. 99 Red Baboons was one of his songs.
Okay, I think I remember that.
But yeah, he's a regular on the Bob and Tom show, and he was there that night. So we went and saw Tim Cavanaugh. So then after the show, of course, you generally have a chance to go up and say hi and say, hey, really like your work, and you're awesome. Buy some CDs at their merch table. So I'm out there right after the show, and here comes Tim Cavanaugh, and he's setting up his merch table, and he had to go get something out of his van or whatever, and he asked. I had been talking to him. He goes, would you mind watching my merch table for me for a few minutes? I'm like, sure. So I'm here running Tim Cavanaugh's merch table.
There you go. I mean, it's just so cool when a comedian just trusts some stranger like that.
Then of course he come back later on. He brought some more stuff out, some CDs and stuff, and then of course I bought all of his CDs and he signed them all, and thanked me. But yeah, I mean, they're people like us.
But they can also have a devious side to them as well.
They can.
Well, first of all, so all of you should know, we in Bloomington we do have the Comedy Attic, and the Comedy Attic, if you don't know, they have some of the country's biggest comedians come through there.
Oh yeah.
If none of you don't know that, they really do.
Yeah, they've had some really
Brian Posehn from he's been in movies and Sarah Silverman show.
And Paul Reiser from Mad About You.
Greg Proops.
Yeah.
Chris Hardwick has been there.
So yeah, they get some really big names, and it's a very small club. Very intimate setting. It just doesn't hold very many people, so just nice small setting.
I know some of the recent shows we went and seen. Drew Hastings was actually going to do it. Actually, did a show there.
Yeah, we saw Drew,
and we went and seen him again. And what you don't know about Drew Hastings is he is really, really tall.
He's huge. Not huge, but he's like freaking tall.
Yeah, like basketball player tall.
Yeah, he's like 6'6" or better. I don't know.
He's huge, and you don't think that whenever you see him. But he's just he just towers over you.
Yeah, and he's just got this. His whole look. He's just,
and he's a mayor.
Yeah, he's the mayor of some town in Ohio. He actually ran for office, and he's actually the mayor. He kind of sports the kind of retro, eyeglasses, and just his mannerisms are just very Drew Hastings.
He's kind of a hipster in a way.
Yeah, like $1,000 suit. He's a very spiffy dresser.
Yeah, but he'll walk out in the middle of a field with it.
Yeah, and he's a farmer from Ohio.
Yeah, and he's a farmer, which is really weird because he just doesn't seem like that kind of person, but he is, and he's very intelligent.
But our first time going to the comedy club in Bloomington was to see Donnie Baker.
Yeah. And
it was very traumatic.
Well, I'm not going to say some of the things that he said to us.
Yeah, let's just kind of be vague about it. Why don't we?
Well, let's just put it like this. Well, before he got out there, which if none of you don't know, don't want to be a spoiler here, but Donnie Baker also is also Floyd the Trucker. Yeah. And he's also Kenny Tarmac.
Yeah, so he's got some other characters.
And if you don't know who does Floyd Trucker, he's like, oh, hi fellas. He has the Turtles and song. Yeah. And then you have Kenny Tarmac. He's like, hey shit, we just landed. And he talks like ATL.
Yeah, he's the most obnoxious salesman that you would have to
sit on an airplane.
Yeah, sit beside on an airplane,
talking really loud on his cell phone, and
2 cell phones, a beeper, and just constantly just very high maintenance.
Yeah. Well, so Donnie Baker is Floyd Trucker and Kenny Tarmac. So he had seen us, because we were sitting in the front. me and Dad had a table in the front.
And note to self: never sit at the front table.
No, because you will be targeted.
You're a target.
You will be a target. And Dad and I, unfortunately, with the drunk Donnie Baker that came out there.
Oh, he was hammered.
I mean, he was completely just gone.
Yeah, but he was very funny. I mean, he was hammered, but he was still,
He was still quick.
Doing his craft, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who else could do that. I mean, he had 4 of the big, huge, tall Bud Lights on stage, and it's not one of these deals like it's like, oh, that's fake beer.
No. He
popped the top. We watched him there on stage, and it was the real deal. And
he killed about 4 tall boys in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, he wasn't just drinking it; he was pouring it on him.
And then he unleashed his wrath on Travis and I.
Yeah. It involved him making some sexual comments.
Yeah, the 2 guys that look like twins on the front row.
Yeah, and of course, he couldn't possibly know that me and him were, which you had met him a couple years before that.
Yeah, of course that.
But he meets a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
but so we're sitting there, and what can you do? You can't threaten the guy. I want to kick your butt. So we had to sit there and just take it. It was just like, it was cruel and unusual.
But you did throw a good one back at him.
Oh yeah, of course we had to be. I was kind of getting in my shots on him too, so we would kind of go back. I made some kind of reference about his mom, the stripper down at Night Moves,
and he's like, I swear to God, she is. And
I just tucked $1 on her and asked for change,
and everyone just started laughing. But to what Dad didn't know is that.
Oh my!
One of his coworkers.
2 of my coworkers.
2 of his coworkers
were sitting in the back of the room.
Were sitting in the back of the room, and he witnessed Donnie Baker just light us on fire.
And they have harassed me about that endlessly. They got such a good time watching Donnie Baker just
roast us,
pick us apart bit by bit.
But I said you can't help him. You can't help it. That's what he does. He's a comedian, and that's what they do.
And we went up and talked to him after the show, and he was cool, and we got some pictures.
Yeah.
It's just all part of it. But if you got the wrong person, they might get. If you got the wrong
some people
person
get really upset.
That was drinking as heavily as he was, they might jump up on the stage and transplant a microphone somewhere.
Yeah. But anyway, so we've had our fair share of run-ins with the Bob and Tom crew and characters. I said, but that's just, those are just a few stories that we have with our experiences with him.
Yeah, just through the years,
and that's just me and him. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of you have had your experiences with the Bob and Tom show, especially with them being so close. And I encourage everyone to listen to Bob and Tom if you have the chance to. And I also very much encourage people to go to the Comedy Attic and go see some of the shows they have there. They have some really top. I mean, if you want to meet some celebrities who come to this area, go to the Comedy Attic. They're there.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's where they go. And for instance, I was telling Dad this yesterday. Coming up soon, Mark Maron is going to be at the Comedy Attic soon. And if you don't know who Mark Maron is, Mark Maron has the WTF podcast, and as of right now, it is the #1 podcast in the world. They are #1 on downloads on iTunes, and he's known by all the big comedians, all the known podcasters. I mean, he is #1. He fluctuates between #1 and top 5. Wow. That's where he sits, and that takes success.
And the other thing too that is really cool about Bob and Tom, and I was just kind of researching to make sure I get the right dates. Of course, just Bob and Tom, they've been together almost like a married couple since 1983, and of course I think they worked at a radio station prior to that in Michigan, and they knew each other. then they came to Indianapolis in '83, joined the Q95 show or station, and started the Bob and Tom show. Chick McGee, the sports guy, Chick started in 1986, so he wasn't there at the beginning, but close. 3 years after the show started, they added Chick, and then in 1989, Christy Lee joined the show. But there you go. I mean, and those four have been together since 1989.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite a.
I mean, that's a long time to be staying with the same people.
Yeah, and I know I was watching an interview with them, and they said, after they made it big, they obviously probably could have went somewhere else. Maybe, moved to Chicago or L.A. or somewhere.
Well, why? They have their pirate ship here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what they said, that they all said they like living in Indianapolis and they like Indiana, and they said you can always fly to Florida or Vegas. They said that's not
it's not an issue.
Yeah, they can go wherever they want, but they said they like to live here and this is their home, and they've been here for 30 years.
And they're going to be here.
Entertain us on our drive to work every morning.
And hopefully they're going to be here another 30.
I hope.
I mean, that's what my high hopes are. And like I said, their show is still going strong as ever before. I know until recently, Pat McAfee has been almost a regular on the show.
He has. They've almost. They must have him on the payroll.
I mean, he almost.
And he's funny.
It's like every other day he's on there, but he's a comedian himself. He does shows and stuff at I want to say at Crackers, and at the Crackers in Indianapolis. I know they go there a lot. But yeah, Pat McAfee, he might as well be a part of the show too, because
of course Pat McAfee, a kicker for the Colts. I think he's signed with the Colts. He was a 7th round pick.
He got into some trouble a while back.
A little bit of trouble, yeah. Back in let me see here. It was October of 2010. He was charged with a Class B misdemeanor. He was found shirtless and wet and assumed to be swimming in the canal at Broad Ripple, outside a popular nightclub. And it was at 5 o'clock in the morning.
He must have had a hard night.
After being reported by a woman who found him near her car. And the police said he tested blood alcohol of 0.15.
Yep. There you go.
So that's kind of his claim to fame. And Bob and Tom,
and until recently,
regularly harass him on that, about swimming in the canal at Broad Ripple.
Yep. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, Bob and Tom's always evolving, and they're always doing new things and better things. But I think Bob and Tom was always known for their comedy bits. Their radio. Whether it was Mr. Obvious or
and there was all sorts of kind of copycat morning shows after the Bob and Tom show. John Boy and Billy Bob. The Danaandtravisshow. No.
we don't have people doing characters.
But they were the leaders. They started it all. Pretty much. That morning.
They transformed comedy.
That morning comedy stuff on your drive to work.
I mean, do you think comedy would be what it is today if it wasn't for them?
Oh no.
I mean, you'd still have your California and New York comedians. But Bob and Tom had great influence on a lot of people.
They're
like the Saturday night. They're like the Saturday Night Live of comedy.
Yeah, or the Tonight Show. Like I said,
you've been on there at some point.
If you could make the Bob and Tom show, you've made it.
Yeah.
So
I see them as the Saturday Night Live of comedy. If you're a comedian, you'll make it on there at least once, and you'll have your part, and then you might either get really big, or at least a couple people will know you afterwards. But that's how I see Bob and Tom, and it's been good listening to them. And do you have any final thoughts about Bob and Tom, or any fun facts?
Nothing really right now. I thought it was worthy of just kind of talking about, because that's something that I kind of take them for granted, and it sounds corny, but they have influenced a lot of my life.
Yeah, and
But
whether I
really
want
have.
and whether I want to admit it or not, they by them influencing you, they've influenced me as well. So
Crap runs downhill. So Travis got it too.
yeah, whether it's from being subjected to Attack of the Wiener Man at a very young age, or
attacked by Mike Armstrong in the back of the van.
attacked by Mike Armstrong, or roasted by Donnie Baker. I mean, you don't get much better than that when it comes to.
It's been what a long, strange trip it's been.
And I plan on hopefully maybe getting roasted by Donnie Baker again or something. You never know.
And it's still, we'll still, I'm sure, go to a few more Bob and Tom comedy shows yet. So.
But if any of you ever want to go see a comedy show at the Comedy Act, just send us a message. It'd be cool to get together with some people and go see some very high classy acts.
Yeah, and the Bob and Tom comedy shows. I knew that they do go to the Paramount in Anderson. It's a little far drive.
They've been spotted at Vincennes too.
And yeah, Vincennes, they do have shows there too.
So, well, I think that's going to be the end of this segment, and we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back after this.
You see that skies of Lebanon are burning, those mighty cedars bleeding into heat. They're showing pictures on the television, women and children dying in the street. We're still hiding in our own place, still trying to reach the future through the past, still trying to carve tomorrow from a tombstone. Hey, don't listen to me, this was meant to be no sad song. We've heard too much of that before, but now I only want to be here with you. The morning dew comes falling, I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand. And in the evening when the sun goes down, we make love to the sound of the ocean.
All right, and now the news. Okay, so I found the one article I was kind of wanting to comment on a little bit is the KFC pit bull controversy going on. You've seen that, haven't you?
Yeah, I have seen that.
Which, for those of you who haven't heard, there was I think like a 3-year-old little girl who was badly mauled by a pit bull attack, I believe, back in April, and she's recovering from that. And actually, her mother had taken her to the hospital for this regular medical treatments that she's getting, like a doctor's visit. And on the way back, they stopped in at a local Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant, and this is in Jackson, Mississippi. And I guess the girl she's terribly disfigured. She's got like a broken jaw. She actually lost an eye, and she has like an eye patch on, and her face is just messed up. Period.
Yeah, there's pictures of her online, and you look at it, you can see. I mean, she does not look good.
No, but she's
not. I mean, that poor little girl. I mean,
yeah, but she's not grotesque either. I mean, the girl obviously, if I seen a girl like that, I would be very sympathetic.
Yeah, I'd be sympathetic, and I would almost feel concerned.
Yeah, and she, very, even outside of her facial features, obviously a very cute little girl.
Yeah.
So they go to the KFC, and actually, I guess she had been on a feeding tube some, and they went in there to like some mashed potatoes because the mother thought that she would be able to eat the mashed potatoes. And when they were there, someone from the staff at the restaurant, I don't know if it was just a manager or if it was another employee, approached the mother and daughter saying that their presence at the restaurant was making some of the other customers a little bit uneasy, and they asked them to leave. Yeah. Which is just completely, and that's just another prime example that there's, just a freaking idiot born every second. Is KFC at fault here?
No. It's the people running that restaurant.
Yeah, whoever the manager or the employee was, obviously I'm sure they're probably no longer employed at KFC.
No, that person deserves to get fired for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's horrible. I mean, not only is that just wrong and despicable, but how does that make that little girl feel?
Yeah, and KFC corporate has stepped up, and I think they give like $30,000 to help cover this girl's medical bills.
Oh, they better.
But geez, what do you do? But like I said, I don't hold KFC at fault. Companies can't, help. Sometimes they have a real idiot working for them.
Yeah, and it's just really sad because it's not that girl's fault that she looks like that. But it's just the nerve. The nerve of that person, he doesn't know what's wrong with that girl. Did that girl go out and just purposely do that to herself? What did that person think? That's why I want to know. What did that person think that girl was, why she looked like that?
Yeah.
What if she was born like that?
Yeah, regardless.
Some sort of judgment is going on in that person's head. And whether or not if they were making some customers feel uncomfortable, whether or not, well, those customers need to get over it.
Yeah,
if they don't like it, they can leave.
Exactly. Maybe they should ask those customers. Well, maybe you should leave them.
Yeah, because that girl has a right to be there.
Yeah, if it bothers you that much, maybe you're the one that should go.
Yeah. Instead, they wanted the little girl to go after all that she's been through. That's just one of those stories that make you sick.
Yeah, and that
how people could be like that.
And that kind of brings my next topic. This is kind of a two-part little topic here, and it's something. And actually, I went to work today, and I kind of spitballed this around to some other.
It just might start a little debate here.
Yeah, I just some people I work with, some are very big dog people, some aren't, but there's been a long-going controversy over pit bulls, and I don't think it's a good idea, and I know people are gonna completely call me on this one, but I just don't think the pit bulls, they don't mean to be that way, and I'm sure there are probably some pit bulls that are good dogs. But to me, I know if I was a parent and I had small children in my home, I would not have a pit bull. And you might as well have a loaded gun on the kitchen table. It's about the same deal, to me.
Okay. Now, do you want to hear my argument?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. What about the Sandy Hook shooter? What about the?
Well, now let's not.
Hear me out.
Well, I'm just
hear me out.
Don't go too far off in left field. Let's keep it contained.
No. This applies.
Okay.
Okay. What about the that movie theater shooter? What
okay,
about?
So you're saying just because somebody goes and shoots at a movie theater, that doesn't make all people bad? Is that what you're going at?
Yes, people are capable of doing it. Does that mean all of us are capable of doing it? We probably are capable of doing it. But don't you think that some people are naturally... Okay, for instance, you beat someone down enough, they're going to think bad about themselves.
Not going to have a rebuttal, because I've got a counterpoint to make to that.
Okay.
My counterpoint is, and we talked about this at work today, I know you can't just say all pit bulls are bad, because I know there's a lot of dog maulings that happen every day that aren't done by pit bulls. They're done by chows, or they're done by rots. But
people also make the argument about religion.
Oh, well, no, you're getting way out in left field. Let's reel back in and keep it contained.
Not all people are bad.
My thing is though, growing up, my mom and dad, your mama and papa, had Jessie. Jessie was part Australian Shepherd. And it was so cool to go outside, and my dad would take her to the farm with him, and of course, Australian Shepherds were just naturally stock dogs. It's bred into them, and it's hardwired into their brains. And it was so cool to watch Jessie up there with those cows, because she would try to work them, and it's not she was never trained in it, but just something inside her head told her that, man, I need to be doing something with these cows, but I'm really not sure what it is. But
Okay, I know where you're going with this.
And bloodhounds naturally are trackers. That's just what's wired into them.
Okay, now may I rebuttal the point you're making is that they do that because it's natural within them. Okay, now let me make a little counter argument to that. You have your dachshund, Hans. Okay. He had a history of aggression.
Well, yeah, and
does that mean that you kept him?
I just stated that chows are notorious for being aggressive. There's all sorts of other breeds. I realize. And
Chihuahuas are especially temperamental and.
But how many more cute little girls have to be chewed up by pit bulls before people say, listen, it's not the pit bull's fault probably, but if I had small children in the house, I would not have a pit bull.
Okay, let me make a different argument.
Because that little girl...
German Shepherds.
That little girl is going to be disfigured the rest of her life.
German Shepherds.
That dog has ruined that girl's life.
German Shepherds. They're trained to be police dogs. Yeah. They can be trained to be police dogs. Now, don't you think after enough beating and torment of pit bulls...
I'm not talking about mistreating. I'm just talking about something that is naturally part of their behavior.
I said Carmen has her goddad owns 2 pit bulls.
Yeah.
And they live in the house with them. And the one, if you look at her wrong, she'll growl at you, and she'll probably and like I said, one time she made me feel really uneasy.
I think
But the other pit bull, the nicest dog I've ever met, it did not have a history of where its previous owners mistreated it.
But I'm not talking about mistreating animals. I'm talking about something that's natural.
But that other dog showed nothing of that.
And what I'm saying is,
the parents or the owner of that pit bull who attacked that little girl should be aware. Hey, this dog has shown signs in the past that it has some aggression. Maybe I shouldn't bring that dog around people. Or the parents of the little girl. Maybe we shouldn't have that little girl around people who have pit bulls.
And that's what I just said. I said, if I was a parent, I would not have a pit bull and a small child in a home. Like I said, and just like with my gun analogy, and I love guns. I'm not saying that guns are bad, but if I had small children in my house, I probably wouldn't leave a loaded gun on the kitchen table. Because and that's nothing against guns. I'm just saying it's not responsible for a parent. I know sometimes you've seen people that maybe. In fact, I've got another story.
But you know what your analogy sounds a lot like? Footloose.
No. Okay.
No. Hear me out. Your argument sounds a lot like Footloose. Just because a bunch of kids got together and danced and had a party and got killed in a car accident, that means we must outlaw dancing and all sorts of partying.
Okay,
because you're saying about pit bulls.
This is a CBS News article from Cincinnati, Ohio, posted yesterday. 2 pit bulls were killed after they ripped out a 6-year-old girl's tongue in a vicious attack. Roughly 11 days ago, this must be a foreign name.
Now, do you know those pit bulls' history?
Was slammed to the sidewalk by dogs who then tore at her face. The dogs severed her tongue before they were killed by the Cincinnati police officers who responded to the scene. And we'll get to the history right now. The pit bulls got her because she was the smallest of the kids. The kids have been out playing. And
where were they playing?
They were playing outside, like in the street. And so the girl had come in for a drink and then went back out. And I'm trying to look through this article. So
pit bulls just go out and attack people.
The dogs belonged to this other person who lived a few doors down from the little girl. The 24-year-old was arrested on weapons, drugs, and receiving stolen property charges.
So he comes from a background of someone who probably isn't living a good lifestyle.
Once the police searched his home, he was also, it says Travis. Yeah, this guy was a bad guy. And you know what?
Haven't you noticed children who live with drug addicts? Haven't you noticed that sometimes they don't always act right?
Yeah, and one of my other.
I'm just saying it's not that good to generalize. I mean, you
But,
got
but,
to look
some,
at the
but
history.
sometimes it is, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but one of my coworkers today also used this analogy when we were just discussing pit bulls. Generally, the pit bull to the people you're referring to, the dirt bags, the drug dealers, the pit bull. It's kind of like that Jack Daniels T-shirt, or it's hey, I've got a pit bull. You don't mess with me, or just it's just part of that persona. And I'm sure those pit bulls, they probably are bred to be, vicious.
Yes.
And then you have them, and they get loose, and then they end up,
Haven't you ever seen this show, Pit Bulls and Parolees?
No, I have not.
Well, that's the whole point of that show, is to show people that pit bulls are not what you think they are. They go into detail how people have this misconception about what pit bulls are. They are dogs like any other dog. And yes, you made the Jesse the dog Jesse analogy.
And some
you made that.
traits are just naturally.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that they cannot be controlled. They can be if they have good owners. If people treated them good, they won't attack people like that.
See, I kind of go.
The analogy you brought up with that attack with the guy that tore the kid's tongue out. That's because he clearly lived with owners who were not good owners. They probably beat the dog. They probably didn't treat it well. It was probably around hostile people, and dogs can pick up on hostile.
But you have no way of knowing what if the dog was mistreated or not.
But you have no idea if it wasn't.
But this kind of goes back to a previous show topic that we had with some of the exotic animal ownership, and just like with a wild animal that people keep as pets. I work with some exotics myself, and some of them act so loving.
Hey everyone, well, we're going to end the show a little early right there. We hope you enjoyed the show, and hope you enjoyed that little debate right there. We went on a little longer than what we originally planned and hoped, and what we really should have, really. So, once again, you can look us up on Facebook, and you can tweet us on Twitter, and you can email us suggestions and topics for the show at Danaandtravisshow@gmail.com. We hope you have a safe week, and by the time this comes up, the newest episode for this week will be up along with this one. So, until then, from Dana and Travis at the Dana and Travis Show, you be careful now.